Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Our topic today is: Will non-immigrant arrests cause the internal revolution spoken of by Dimitri Duduman? Okay, so
Amen.
the topic I'm going to bring today, 32 years teaching Bible prophecy, is probably the most important topic that you can hear today. And I say that in consideration of all. I know this is about to be a very, very big statement. If you take it wrong, it'll sound very arrogant. But it's not my message. It's a message that God sent. I'm about to give you the message that is the most important message outside of the gospel. The gospel, the blood of Christ, is always going to be the number one message. It's going to win more souls than anything. But this is number two. So outside of the gospel, it's the number one message. So what am I talking about? Dimitri Duduman was a Romanian pastor. He smuggled Bibles into Romania and Russia for some 30 years. He was finally, they couldn't catch him. Couldn't catch how he was smuggling the Bibles. They finally arrested him, put him through 5 months of torture, culminating in them putting him on the electric chair twice. When he was on the electric chair, the electricity going through him, the whole room lit up with white light, and the angel Gabriel showed in the room, and he said, Dimitri, don't worry, you're not going to die. You're going to America to give them a warning from God. Plead the blood of Jesus. So he started saying, Singulalu Isus, which is Romanian for the blood of Jesus. He woke up on the floor, them pouring water on him and slapping him around, put him back on the electric chair the next day. The same thing happened. Gabriel, the same thing happened. 3 months later, the angel came to him again. He said, you have 4 more years to carry Bibles. They will follow you step by step, but I will blind their eyes. When they see they can't catch you, they're going to kick you out of your country. You're going to America to give them a warning from God. So that you know that I'm truly the angel of God, I'm going to tell you the year, the month, the day, and the hour you'll be exiled. July 22nd, 1984 at 10 o'clock in the morning. He said, for 4 years, we watched the date. Finally, the knock came to the door. July 22nd, 1984, 10 o'clock in the morning, just as the angel said. They sent him to America. He arrived August 3rd, 1984. The angel came to him again and showed him California, Las Vegas, New York, and Florida. He said, do you see what I've shown you? This is Sodom and Gomorrah, and one day it will burn. He said, how will it burn? America's so powerful. He said, now this is important. This is what we're talking about today. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Then from the oceans, Russia, Cuba, Nicaragua, Central America, and Mexico, and 2 of the countries he couldn't remember will attack and destroy America in 1 hour. God will raise up China, Japan, and many of the nations. They'll go against the Russians. They'll defeat the Russians and back the Russians to the gates of Paris where they sign a peace treaty, but they make the Russians their leader. Under the leadership of the Russians, all the world goes down to attack little Israel. They can't count out the help of the Jews in America, so they cry for Messiah. Jesus returns in the clouds and defeats the armies of the earth. Now, I heard this for the first time in 1988, February 1988. So I've been carrying that message since then. And all of that time, I have been wondering, what in the world could cause an internal revolution in America? And that is the topic of our program today. Number one message is the gospel. It's always going to be. But the number 2 message right now is that the fall of America is now in progress, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. So our title is, will non-immigrant arrests, we're not talking about illegal aliens, cause the internal revolution? Now, you recall what I just quoted to you. Part of it was the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Now, look at the words in the yellow. Some of the people will start fighting against the government. The government will be busy with internal problems. Now, this is the way I think it will be fulfilled. This is not thus saith the Lord. This is thus guesseth Stan. Dimitri was told the fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America overthrowing the Trump administration, is what I think it'll be, in America, started by the communists or the left or the Democrats. Some of the communists will start fighting against the Trump government. The Trump government will be busy with internal problems. Now, what are we seeing right now? Just last week, not only are there people fighting against the ICE arrests, the ICE government, ICE part of the government, but just last week, they started shooting at them. And we saw just yesterday in the news that a CBP officer was shot in the face. Now, he was not shot in the face because he was an ICE or a CBP officer, but nevertheless, we have seen a confidence and arrogance rise up in the people to where they're willing to fight against the government. I've never seen that in my 71 years yet. Okay, now, next question. So, what if the Trump arrests caused the revolution? And I'm not talking about the illegal aliens. I'm talking about people like Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff, Barack Obama, James Clapper. Okay, I'm talking about those kind of people. That's what I think is about to happen. Now, let me explain. There is a plan called the Elijah Plan. What happened was when JFK was assassinated in 1963, the military intelligence knew what really happened, but they couldn't do it. They couldn't do anything about it. But they said to each other, we're tired of this cabal, the secret government, the shadow government, just killing our people and think they run the world at will. We got to put a stop to them. So they decided that they were going to do something about it. And so they decided that they were going to put together a plan, specifically a plan to bring down this hidden deep state cabal. The plan was to take back America from the top down rather than the bottom up. They recruited Donald Trump to run for president. As you recall, he used to be a Democrat. My guess is when they showed him the evidence they had, he changed from being a Democrat to becoming a Republican. And they said, or he said to them, well, will I be reporting to you? Do you report to me? And they said, oh, no. We report to you. And he said, then I'll do it. Now, by the way, I cannot prove a word of what I was saying there, but that's the scuttlebutt on the internet through a lot of different sources. In 2017, November of that year, Sessions hired Utah Inspector General John Huber, and he recruited 470 dogged investigators to start investigating these people in high places. And I'm going to show you the document here in just a minute. Normally, at any one time, there's 125 to 350 sealed indictments all across America. A sealed indictment is a pending arrest warrant sealed from the public, is usually sealed pending other co-conspirators, also indictments. These 470 dogged investigators began filing indictments, but keeping them sealed. I heard about it when there was 4,000 indictments already signed. Soon there was 10,000, then 20,000. Yet we saw no arrests, 20,000, 30,000. I'm thinking, okay, so what's going on? So now the arrest indictments are up around 500,000. I'll show you. Now let's jump to this document. July 21. This is from Fox News. DOJ receives Gabbard's criminal referral on bombshell claims that the Obama administration, what it goes on to say is that basically when Obama saw that Trump had won the election, he called in his cabinet. I'm summarizing it here. And he said, we're not going to allow this. We want you, I believe he said, I want you to cook up some kind of a big fat lie that the Russians worked together behind the scenes with Trump to overthrow the election and that Trump really didn't win the election. And that's the whole bugaboo behind the Russia collusion hoax. And now this document, this article is saying that they have sent over referrals. So what is that? A referral, my understanding is, it's basically saying this guy here or these group of guys have done something bad and we think you need to investigate it and probably arrest them and probably throw them in prison. And Obama is on the list. Now, let's jump to military tribunals. During the Kavanaugh hearings, Lindsey Graham had a 10-minute segment which he asked Judge Kavanaugh a series of 10 questions, specifically asking him, let me go to the questions. You look at the questions. These were word for word the questions asked. He says, when somebody says 9/11, that we've been at war and it's called war on terrorism, do you generally agree with that concept? The answer was yes, Senator. The answer was yes, Senator, to all of these questions. Is there a body of law called law of armed conflict? Is there a body of law called basic criminal law? Are there differences between two bodies of law? From an American citizen's point of view, do your constitutional rights follow you? If you're in Paris, does the Fourth Amendment protect you as an American from your own government? If you're in Afghanistan, do your constitutional rights protect you against your own government? Every answer was yes, Senator. Isn't there a long-standing law that goes back to Essence Trader that American citizens who collaborate with the enemy are considered enemy combatants? Is there a Supreme Court decision that said the American citizens who collaborated with Nazi saboteurs were tried by the military? Is that correct? What's the name of the case? Do you recall? And every answer was yes. Now, why did he ask these questions? Because this confirms that they have the authority to arrest and try American citizens in military tribunals. That's why the questions were asked. Now, let's go on. This is the actual, I told you I'd show you the law. So there it is, December 20th, 2017. This is the executive order filed by Trump in his first term, blocking the property of persons involved in serious human rights abuse or corruption. Now, you can go on and read the whole thing, but there it is. That's the law giving them the authority to start filing these indictments, arresting people, and arresting them and trying them in military tribunals. Well, if you want to go to back me up, investigate this, go to bad-boys.us. This was about 6 months ago. It showed 484,000 people with sealed indictments. Now, a sealed indictment always has at least one person, but it's not limited to one person. It can be 10, 20, it could be a couple of thousand people for one indictment. Now, there used to be 484,000. A few months later, it jumped up to 499. This morning I checked, and it's now at 506,587, meaning they're still stacking up sealed indictments. Why are they doing this? Because it's not a dead thing. Well, how do I really know that it's real? Then you go to bad-boys.us and you look and you'll see this map. Then if you click on one of those there, and there's some on the bottom I didn't show, this is what you get. You get page after page after page after page after page documenting what they're talking about. This is listing where the sealed indictments are, when they were filed. It does not give you the name, of course, and that's why it's sealed, okay? And it proves that what I'm saying is true. Now, let's go on. Then 11/11/2019, Trump jumped off of the helicopter, a bunch of reporters outside waiting on him, and he says, I think in light of all the things coming on, and you know what I mean by that, the fake news, the Comeys of this world, all the bad things that went on, it's called a swamp. I caught them all. Let's see what happens. Nobody else could have done that but me. I caught all of this corruption that was going on, and nobody else could have done it. What is he talking about? Is he joking? Or is he following the plan started in 1963, the Elijah plan? There's more. He didn't just say it one time, 9/7/24, at a Mosinee, Wisconsin rally. With your vote this election, their lying, cheating, thieving, hoaxing, plotting will come to an end. It's going to come to an end. We're going to cash out the corrupt political class. We're going to restore our republic. We're going to drain the swamp. And we're going to do it once and for all. We're going to get it done. Was he kidding? Was he just trying to get elected? Or was he serious? This is on his Truth Social. Look carefully. He says a massive fraud of this type of magnitude allows the termination of all rules, what? Regulations and articles, even those found in the Constitution. What's he saying? He's saying that he will suspend the Constitution, the right to remain silent, the right to an attorney, the right to a phone call, and all of a sudden we're going to see massive arrests. Basically, the Constitution is going to be removed, and that can be done according to the American laws. It can be suspended for up to 5 years, and there's more. He didn't just say it 3 times. Here's the 4th time. August 27th, he's interviewed by this guy. He says they're going to be held accountable. And here's the rest of the article. How are you going to gain the trust back of the American people within the government? And are we going to see anybody held accountable? They're going to be held accountable, Trump said. They've got to be held accountable. What they're doing, they're destroying this country. They're crooked people. They're dishonest people. They're going to be held accountable. That's the 5th time. What's he talking about? Oh, well, wait a minute, Stan. The Posse Comitatus Act says you cannot use the American military against American citizens, except if the president signs the Insurrection Act of 1807. If he signs that, then that gives him the authority to use the military against American citizens. Wait. He can't just sign that under any circumstance. No, there's some things. If you look down here, Posse Comitatus, therefore, the political, military, and police measures necessary to protect national security from external threats are exceptions to the restrictions of the Posse Comitatus Act. In other words, if there is a bunch of bad stuff going on, he can suspend the Constitution. He can suspend Posse Comitatus. He can use the military against American citizens. Well, didn't he just call out the National Guard in California? First, there was the National Guard. Then there was 2,000, 4,000. Then he called out 700 Marines. And then July the 4th, we saw a parade of tanks rolling down Washington, D.C. streets. Was that just a parade or was that practice? Let's go on. Again, Trump, this is his words. He says, when I win, those people that cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long prison sentences so that this depravity of justice does not happen again. Is he crazy? Is he kidding? Or is he serious? Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing here, but what I do want you to look at is the title, U.S. Army to control federal land along U.S.-Mexico border. What's he talking about? They're talking about they set up a corridor. You can pause and read the whole thing if you want to. I'll just read part of it. The transfer of the border zone to the military control and making it part of any Army installation is an attempt by the Trump administration to get around a federal law that prohibits U.S. troops from being used by domestic law. In other words, they've already got it set up to where if he wants to, he can go around the Posse Comitatus and use military against American citizens. Now, there's more. For the next 45 days, the article says, the Defense Department will test, there's the big word I want you to look at, test taking control of a section of the Roosevelt Reservation. Well, what's the Roosevelt Reservation? This is the Roosevelt Reservation. If you look at the red, it basically extends from El Paso all the way out to the sea. And it's 60 foot wide. It's an area that the military controlled. Here's another look at it. Now, why do they have that? I think it's not to catch the people, illegal aliens coming up from Mexico. I think it's to catch the cockroaches when the lights turn on that are running, trying to flee out of America down to Mexico to keep from being arrested and put in prison. In other words, I think it's part of the plan that was started in 1963 to arrest 500,000, who knows, maybe 1 million people. The article here says that 7,100 active duty troops are there, about 4,600 National Guard troops under state control. And the state of Texas is already doing a fantastic job of covering their border. Now, the point is, they're covering it. Pentagon is sending a strike. Look at the date. This is March 3rd. I have not seen an article that says they've been pulled back. And of course, I do not have access to find out if they're still down there, but my guess is they're probably still down there. A striker brigade of more troops to the U.S.-Mexico border. They're not down there because our border is being overrun anymore. They're down there because when Trump says, go get them, when Trump pushes the big red button that says arrest, they're to catch the people like Adam Schiff, who can't fly. He's already blocked from flying. I'm sure that they will have all of that arranged. And so they get in their car and they think, well, I will sneak through going up north to Canada or down south to Mexico. And the military catches them. No, they don't get out. Fourth military zone established in Arizona under the Marine Corps. Date here is July the 2nd. Notice I have 3 articles talking about military zone on our southern border. What's going on? The Yuma National Defense Area is a 140-mile extension Marine Corps Air Station, Yuma. Includes federal property. Similar defense areas exist in Texas and New Mexico and will continue to enhance the department's ability to protect the southern border from unlawful entry or exit. Here's another article. Now, this one has the reputation of being rock solid. When they say something, you can take it to the bank, they'll take it. It says military tribunals are coming. Wisconsin independent journalist and election integrity investigator Peter Bernergager, however you say that, who works CDM contributor, says consistently credible source for years on election fraud and political money laundering that military tribunals are coming. Okay, now hang on. Let's talk about that. What's a military tribunal? What's the difference between our court system and military tribunals? Okay, so if you're arrested by some kind of American police organization, that would include things like the ICE and those sort of things. You have the right to remain silent. You have a right to an attorney. Well, you can't afford one. Won't be appointed for you. You have a right to a phone call, and they have to release you within 48 hours to charge. All kinds of rules. But if the military arrests you, you don't have any rights. And if they take you not to a civilian jail, but they take you to a military jail, military prison, you don't have any rights. Okay. If they try you in a civilian court, it may take 2 or 3 years before you even go to court. Not in military tribunals. It may take 2 or 3 days. It may be that quick. And then you're not judged by a jury of 12 people of your peers like you are in civil court. You're tried by 3 military judges. I forget the name of what they call them. JAGs, I think. Anyway, 3 of them. And they can try not just one person at a time, but if we've got, say, a bunch of sex traffickers, say thousands of them, they can all be tried all at the same time. And when they're tried, yes, you can appeal, but it's pretty much wasting your time. And then they send them off to military prisons. I don't think it's an accident that Diego Garcia, which is a military prison island out in the middle of the Atlantic, I believe, could be the Pacific, haven't looked that up, and also to Gitmo, and they've upgraded both of them. And then there's another one, slipping my memory now, but there's another
Fort
one.
Leavenworth.
And then, of course, Trump has talked about now they've just opened Alligator Alcatraz, and he's now the Fox News that I hear says they're talking about opening Alcatraz. Well, if you read the articles on it, they're not talking about opening the original old Alcatraz. They're opening it. Prison officials are there. They are making plans to stop the visitations and to start refurbishing it. And they're going to start using Alcatraz again. Why? Because they're about to arrest some 500,000 people. That's the reason he's so concerned with, we got all these people we've arrested. We got to put them behind bars someplace. And I can't remember whether I put the article in here or not, but there's other attempts. Trump has made arrangements with other nations, paid them, like I think it was El Salvador, $6 million to upgrade their military prison down there. And they have agreed to take American citizens in El Salvador or places like that. Why? Because there's about to be 500,000 of those people. Again, I do not know that Nancy Pelosi or Adam Schiff or Obama are part of those people. Perhaps they're totally innocent. Okay, let me just say, I do not know that. But I certainly hope if they're guilty, and I guess that they are. That's a guess, allegedly. If they are, I hope that they find justice, and I think you do too. So it goes on to say the bad actors of the Russian collusion hoax, those of the national and international levels stealing our elections, a fair number of the CIA, and a slight few of the military intelligence sectors, DSI, DIS, DIA. It's true about the SCIF, with loads of evidence being behind it. He says we caught them all. Now I'm told the results are coming, meaning tribunals. Now, I put lines through this because it didn't come to pass, but there's a very important point. And this is what I want to make. So it says a conspiracy theory that is being pushed by the left claims that something really big is going to happen on April 20th. This is the left saying it. See, I believe that the left has a looking glass. In other words, the ability to see into the future. I believe they also have a time machine, the ability to travel in time past, future, any place on the globe, perhaps even any place in the galaxy. I don't know. But it goes on to say that they think on April the 20th, now that didn't happen April 20th, but the point is still the same. And that's why I'm talking about it. They think that President Trump is about to declare martial law, suspend the Constitution. That would allow the U.S. troops to help secure the border. Many leftists are convinced that President Trump will also use U.S. troops to round up political activists and send them to prisons in El Salvador. According to that article, once President Trump officially invokes the Insurrection Act, it will set a, quote, larger plan in motion. And that's right. And the name of that plan is the Elijah Plan, started in 1963. I hope you're seeing what I'm saying. It says, expecting executive order, even at the same time or the next, officially declaring the Insurrection Act, restricting your freedoms in the name of restoring control of the border and perhaps in blue state cities, and setting the larger plan in motion. Now, this is what the left's article says they think is about to happen. One, they're going to see demonstrations grow. Well, that is one of the requirements to be able to sign the Insurrection Act, that there is demonstrations and mob violence and people out of control. Also, there's going to be a false flag. What's a false flag? It means it's an incident that is actually created in order to cause problems or to effect a change. So they think there will be a false flag turning protests into terror. This is what the left is saying. Trump declares expanded martial law. This is what they think is going to happen. And by the way, they're correct. And calls for militia to assist the police and military. Then there would be mass arrests of opposition leaders. Nancy Pelosi, Adam Schiff. Again, I do not know that those are guilty. So I'm saying allegedly. Military and National Guard take over major cities. Press censorship and total media control.